If you've been running a VSL call funnel for a while now and you're still stuck under that 50K a month mark, there's something that you could add to your business that is going to significantly increase your revenue. And I can pretty much guarantee you, especially if you have a lot of organic traffic, that you will push over the six-figure mark. And so if you actually do implement what I'm about to show you in this video, I promise you, you will get to that 100K a month. So without any further ado, let's get straight into it. And so the funnel that you should be adding into your business as soon as possible is called a VSL call funnel. And in my opinion, here's, why you should be adding this to your business as soon as possible. So number one, funnel fatigue. So, your audience has probably seen your VSL call funnel, your VSL link, your free training thousands of times. They've seen it over and over again. They know what's happening there. And this ties to my next point. They know exactly what's gonna happen if they book a call, right? And some of them simply don't want to get on a sales call because they know they're about to be sold, and they're not ready for that. They're not ready to get in that high pressure environment, into that one-on-one call with your closer. And yeah, they don't want to get sold on. They know what's going to happen. So, they might be looking for something else that can push them over the fence. And, in this case, they are probably seeking more value. So, while as, with the VSL call funnel, they watch a 10, 15-minute VSL, they, get some value, but it's not enough for them. Definitely not enough for them to, hop on a call where they know they'll be sold. They're again simply not ready for that. And the reason why webinar is so good here is because it's such a small commitment step. It's just free value. There's no high pressure one-on-one sales call. It's they'll just be in the room with a bunch of other people. No one's going to talk directly to them. They don't have to answer anyone. They don't have to commit to anything. It's literally just a free call, free class. So yeah, and they'll also be getting a shit ton of value from that class. So whereas on a call, they probably know that they'll get sold. They've seen it before, which actually ties into my next point here. But yeah, simply they seek more value, and a webinar is the perfect place to get all the people that have been on the fence, that want your offer, but they're just not ready to commit for a sales call, and they still want more value. A webinar is just a perfect fit for that. Um, so my next point, market saturation. VSL call funnel. I think every single person that's done info has ran a VSL call funnel, and there's actually not that many people that run a webinar funnel, which means that you can be a little different because your ideal client has probably seen a VSL call funnel a hundred of times, with other creators, whereas a webinar funnel, it's actually not that many people are using it yet. So yeah, these are the reasons why I think you should add a webinar funnel to your business as soon as possible. And I'm gonna actually show you exactly how I ran my 182K webinar funnel. So you can just literally copy it and implement this to your own business. Now, if you are interested in me helping you with setting everything up, I'll leave a link in the description of this video. You can book call with me, and we can see how I could help you implement this to your own business. But I still want to give you the entire framework and all the sauce on this video. So yeah, here's what you're gonna need. So the reason why it's actually super simple is because you probably do already have most of the softwares that you'll need to run this funnel. So the first one is a CRM system. So we use Go High Level. You can use other ones as well, such as Close, HubSpot, or I don't know what else people are using. But we use Go High Level, and if you have that, great. It's super easy to set everything up over there. Next, you'll need an email system. So we use Go High Level as well, and whether you use ActiveCampaign, ConvertKit, it doesn't really matter because you'll also need Zapier, and with Zapier you can pretty much connect all the systems and all the softwares that you have. So yeah, if you do have that, or you will need that, so you should be good with whatever you're running currently. When it comes to the funnel builder, I forgot about that. We do use Go High Level as well, but again, if you have any others, you can just simply connect all of them using Zapier. So for SMS, we use High Level as well. You could be using Simple Texting, or any other softwares that there are out there. And lastly, for the webinar hosting, we've been using Zoom and Webinar Jam. And yeah, you can, go for whatever. If you're already using Zoom, you can just literally upgrade to the webinars plan and you're pretty much good to go. So yeah, that's for the softwares. Is the pre-webinar planning. So in these steps, before you start, getting into anything, you gotta select the perfect angle for your webinar. And you do this simply by having market research. So, you've probably done some market research already if you've been running a VSL call funnel. So, you do have your ICP. And so, yeah, just, dig back into that doc, find what separates you from your competition, address your audience's biggest barriers, and, choose one goal that attracts your ICP. So to give you some examples, your webinar could, be around, if you're in the B&B space, for example, how to finance rent-to-rent deals for Airbnb. So, you're focusing on the biggest barrier of your audience, which might be, they don't have the finances to do it. And second, you're choosing that one goal, which is rent-to-rent deals, which is, one of the methods for running B&B. Or, if you're, for example, in the e-com space, you can have something like how to build a $1 million micro brand. And the goal here is to, again, separate yourself from the competition and have a specific goal. But, you've been running a VSL call funnel, so you pretty much know how these things work. So next, prepare ad budget. Now, this is a optional step. I know people that are running it simply off organic traffic and, they're crushing with it. And if you do have a big audience as well, good for you. You can absolutely crush with it. Even more, I think, if you do have a decent organic traffic, you'll absolutely crush with webinars. But, if that's not exactly your case, you can run ads. And, in my experience, I've seen that live webinar campaigns, consistently get the lowest cost per lead. And you can actually see that in this example right here. We just ran a class pretty much only off of cold traffic. And as you can see, we had about 50 registrants that were from organic. But yeah, our average cost was $4.12. We've booked 48 calls at the end. So yeah, that was about $49 per qualified call. So yeah, if you can, I highly recommend running ads to it as well. It's super simple and yeah, it works very, very well. So for the promotion strategy, you pretty much want to just spam it, everywhere, on every single channel that you have. So, we do short form content with a call to action, again, across all the platforms. So, post it on your Twitter, post it on your TikTok, post it on your Instagram, post it on your YouTube shorts, everywhere that you can, post it. And then as well, do story sequences on Instagram, again, on Twitter, on Facebook, whatever platforms you're in, just post everywhere, post everywhere. And, same with YouTube, long form. Now, here's a little tip. You can actually replace all of your links, under every single video that you have, replace that link with your registration page. So, this way you can just milk out absolutely every single eyeball that lands on your content and you can funnel them straight to the registration page. So next, paid ads, and of course, an email sequence. So yeah, if you have an existing email list, send an email every single day, pushing people to the registration page. So that's the promotion strategy. Next, we have the actual registration page. So what you want to have on that page is going to be a countdown, just a timer to show how many days, hours, minutes is left until the class to create some urgency. Next, you want to have a clear headline with your unique offer, again, talking directly to your ICP, being unique, etc., etc. You've ran a VSL call funnel before, so you probably know what to do here. A sub headline, same thing. And you also want to have a mini VSL, just basically persuading people to click on the registration button. So, over there, you want to tell them who this class is for, what they're going to learn, show them your credibility, why you know what you're going to well, you know what you're talking about, etc., and you're just call to action, register now. Then you also want to give out a lead magnet for registering. So, you can have a little preview of that lead magnet. And next, what you'll learn about you section, pretty much what you've mentioned in the VSL, just in a written form for people that don't like to watch videos. And lastly, you want to have a bunch of testimonials and social proof, showing that you know what you're talking about. So yeah, that's for the registration page. When it comes to the thank you page, that is super important to, boost your show rate, because it's great to have a lot of registrants, but it's worth nothing if no one shows up. So yeah, have a thank you page, and this thank you page is pretty much just gonna bridge the gap between the sign up and the webinar day. And again, it's pretty much the same thing as your book call funnel. So you want to have a confirmation VSL. You want to add a calendar integration button, meaning when they click on that button, it'll automatically be added to their calendars, so we make sure they are not going to miss it. Next, you want to invite them to a WhatsApp group. And so the way I frame it is actually, the lead magnet that we were promising at the beginning, you remember that? You can only get that if you join the WhatsApp group, and only until you join that, your registration is going to be complete. So yeah, this way, you can get people into your WhatsApp group. You can just, frame them more inside there, send them more reminders, and you're just gonna boost your show up rate like crazy. So yeah, do that. And lastly, you just wanna set some expectations for the event, and then some housekeeping instructions. So things like be in a quiet room, be on your laptop, don't be on your phone, get your notebook, etc., etc. And then of course you also want to have emails and SMS to remind the people of the class. And also, here's a little boosting show rate hack. You can also run the hammer them strategy with paid ads. And what this strategy is pretty much is basically you just create a new ad campaign. You add all the people that have registered to the class as a custom audience, and you just run ads specifically to this audience. And what you want to do is you just want to shove as much content as possible in front of their faces. So, I should be seeing all your viral videos, funnel them to your YouTube, just shove as much content as possible so they, remember your face exactly, and they're not going to miss your class. Because, especially if you're running cold traffic only, paid ads, people see a lot of these, a day. So yeah, this way you will stand out, because you probably know this by if you've been watching YouTube and you don't have the premium, you keep seeing that one guy pop up again and again and again, and you actually remember him, and yeah, you're much more inclined to interact or take some action. So yeah, run this. It's gonna increase your show rate like crazy. And also, the best thing about this, it's actually super super cheap. It's pretty much free, because you're not advertising to a big audience. You're literally just advertising to those people that have registered for your class. So yeah, do this and you'll see an increase immediately. So next we have the CRM and automation setup. So inside high level, or whatever CRM you're using, you want to have these stages. So registered for the event, that's going to trigger the nurture sequence. So all the reminders, showing them more testimonials, why they should show up for the class, etc., etc., etc. Then you want to have a attend left before pitch stage, and attend and watch the pitch, took action, booked call, or purchased, or didn't show up at all. And the reason why we want to have all these stages is to have a specific follow-up sequence for each lead. So people that have left before the pitch, they haven't even heard about the pitch, they're gonna get a different email sequence than the people that, for example, did not show up at all, or people that have seen the pitch but did not take action. And you also want to have a sales team dial up every single lead, going backwards from the hottest leads to the coldest, meaning people that have left before the pitch, I'd say those are probably the hottest, because they haven't even heard about the offer, and they might have taken action if they didn't have to leave the class for whatever reason. So yeah, the sales team would start there, and then slowly work their way up all the way to the people that did not show up, and just send them the recording, have them watch it, and get them back, either to purchase or to book the call. So now when it comes to the actual slides, you want to use a proven framework. I've actually created my own framework, that I use for my clients. And if you want me to send that over, just feel free, shoot me a DM, and I'm more than happy to send that over to you. But yeah, just follow that, create your slides. And what you want to do is you want to make sure it matches your voice and style. So, obviously test it out loud, read it over and over and again, try to actually present it to someone, see if it actually um see if it actually resonates, and if it sounds good. And yeah, then just convert this script, aka framework, into the actual slides. For this, you can use either Canva, or we just use Google Slides. It's super simple. And then you just want to import that into Webinar Jam, and you make sure to test run it before, because what actually happened to us once was we switched from Zoom to Webinar Jam, and for whatever reason, Webinar Jam does not let you to share your screen with audio. So, we had to last minute just tweak everything, and we almost didn't make it on time for the actual class, but we did. I think we did it like 5 minutes before, and it was all good. But yeah, make sure to test run everything properly before the live event, and make sure everything works, all the sounds, um, videos that you have, links that you have, etc., etc. You don't want this to happen to you. So yeah, test run it and make sure everything is smooth before you actually run the class. So now, when you're actually live on the class, what you want to do is you want to have a moderator. So that's someone with admin controls that can handle every technical issues that might happen. The person is also going to monitor the chat for common questions, but also for people that are just trolling, and that you don't want to have in the audience. Sometimes you might have people like that, so you want to make sure to have a moderator there, to just kick them out if necessary. And another thing that a moderator can do is share the booking or payment links during the pitch. If you're, for example, running that over on Zoom, you'll need that. Or if you're doing it over Webinar Jam, there's an option where you just create the offer, and it's gonna be there automatically. But in case you don't, and in case you do want to run it on Zoom, you can have them do this as well. Now, as a presenter, you want to make sure you stay mindful of the audience presence. You don't want to get just into your head too much. Keep remember, you're talking to a computer, but just imagine you're on a stage, and there's thousands of people in front of you. And yeah, try to regularly engage with the chat. Don't just sound like a bot. Don't just read off a script and just yeah, you pretty much, like, if you are a bad presenter, this might not be honestly ideal for you, because you actually, for this funnel, you actually have to be a really, really good speaker. And or you actually don't, but it's just gonna perform a lot better if you are. So yeah, try to practice it. And yeah, next, you want to see commitments throughout your presentation. So do regular checkups. So are you enjoying so far? Get people to type yes, yes, yes in the chat, etc., etc. Just engage and have them do micro commitments throughout the class. And yeah, one more point: slow down. Don't rush through it. Enjoy it, sound natural, and yeah, just make it a good experience for the people. So yeah, cool. Next, for the post webinar, you want to have a follow-up sequence. So as we've spoken before, you want to have a proper sequence for each stage. Just do whatever you can to get them to either watch the recording if they haven't showed up, and book a call if they have not done already. And yeah, you also want to have the sales team, appointment setters, just calling everyone up, or messaging them to get them back on the calendar, or to purchase the offer. And yeah, after that, it's pretty much done. You should have a bunch of cash collected, or bunch of booked calls. And what I've seen some people do is actually they promote it to the organic audience as well, after the class. So some people offer the replay, some people even charge for the replay, which charging for the replay is actually not a bad idea. But some people, they upload the video on YouTube. But I would not recommend this. I would not recommend offering it for free, or uploading it to YouTube, because if you've been seeing your retention rate on your VSL, just imagine how it would look like on a hour and a half webinar. So yeah, if it's not live, it's very, very hard to have people watch it for an hour and a half, and they'll probably skip through some of the parts because they can. And yeah, I would just not recommend it, running it as a video. So yeah, one last thing. Some people run ads to the replay content. I would not recommend that as well. Same thing as before. It's very, very hard to have people stay and watch for an hour and a half. So yeah, either you can try charging for it. That's better because when people actually pay for it, they might actually watch. Or just wait for the next live class and you'll have people get excited for it and make it actually exclusive. It's gonna be better in the long run. So yeah, that's pretty much everything you need to know about webinars. Do this, try it on your own, and I promise you, you will see some good results with it. And again, if you are an info product business owner and you obviously don't want to go through all this nitty-gritty stuff, I'll leave a link down below in the description. You can book a call with me, and we can see if this might be a good fit for you. And yeah, thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one.